Hi guys, it's Blackie, and today I'm going to share with you my #1 trick for staying cool in the summer heat. And that's when you get too warm. Now, let us review right quick. Our body temperature is around 96, 97, somewhere along in there, and therefore that's our common temperature. That's what our core is supposed to be. But due to exertion or the environment or etc., our temperature can go up. And then the body has to fight to cool. Now, whenever it's 45 degrees out here, it's not that difficult for us to cool. Just by our breathing, a little bit of perspiration on the skin will regulate and drop down our core temperature. But what happens during the summer when it's 100 degrees or 98.9 with a heat index of 118, and 100% humidity? We don't cool worth a damn at that time. And it's because the outside air temperature is actually wanting to warm us rather than cool us. And so we're breathing, we're hassling. Our body's trying to pump that warm air out of our lungs and therefore cool down our core temperature. We're sweating profusely, trying to get evaporative cooling. This wets our clothes, this wets everything, trying to spread out and get that heat out of us. But it's an uphill battle, it really is, because of the air environment. Well, the trick I learned from an old Marine a long time ago is one of these. Now what this is one of those sniper veils. And this one is cotton. It's not pure nylon. You want one of the cotton ones if you can. I think this one was made by that company, and I picked it up several years ago, but they still make these type things. Well, what it is this. See all these holes through this material that you can see through? Have you ever heard of a term called swamp cooler? It works by a very simple principle. I wet this in a stream or something like that, or even water out of a canteen. I soak this down, okay? I utilize this whenever I've got, it's hot out here. I will take this and wet this, and I'm going to put it around my neck like this. This is going to wet my shirt, yes, but it's evaporative cooling around my neck and etc. So it's helping to radiate off that heat. It's giving me an extra source of water besides my internal water to cool me down. But what if that isn't enough? What if I've exerted a little bit and I'm getting on that threshold where I'm getting pretty close to getting to heat exhaustion or something like that? Well, that's when this can do even more, because these holes, as I spoke of, act as a swamp cooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double it in half. I'm going to get it wet. I'm going to take my hat off. I'll take my hat off and I'll take this sopping wet and just drape it completely over my head like this. Now I know it looks stupid, but listen, here's what's happening. From the inside, what I'm seeing is the holes outward. Now let me let you see that. See all those holes right there? Well, what happens is, as air passes through these holes, it exchanges very quickly the water and the air, forming a cooling effect, a swamp cooler. So all I need is a little bit of a breeze blowing, and this thing cools you very quickly. Now how I mean cool? When I first put this over your head, the average person thinks it's ice water because it feels so cool. And as the air passes through this, it drops the temperature down significantly, 20, 30 degrees. Now, this is over my head. It's over my upper shoulder, and I've got a little bit of a breeze, or I'm sitting here fanning with something to give me a little bit of a breeze. What does that do? The air inside where my face is drops 20 to 30 degrees. So I go to breathing like this. I will inhale through my mouth. Breathe out through my nose. Why? I suck in that cool air into my mouth, and I'm filling up my lungs with cool air. Imagine if you could suddenly just have a little window right here to an air conditioner and inhale that cool air directly into your lungs. It helps cool my core temperature. and I exhale through my nose because it'll help push it more focused back out of this grid and back outside instead of trapping it in here with me. So if I went, all I'm doing is heating up the interior now, am I not? If I'm pushing it out, and I'm inhaling 20 to 30 degree cooler air. Plus, it's contacting my skin, it's dropping me down. And for the next 5 to 10 minutes, this is going to feel like this is that ice water. It's that cool inside of it. Now, once that's warming up, because I've dried out a little bit of the surface, what I do? Redunk it. Put it back over my head again. It's soaking me down. It's cooling me. It's bringing my core temperature down. It allows me to sit there and pull back from that heat exhaustion, because I'm reducing my core temperature by contact, by evaporated, and by me inhaling cool air. 2, it's also cooling me as far as cooling my brain, which is a big thing here. If you notice, people get flushed out here on their face whenever they start getting hot. That's when the brain starts getting warm. It opens up capillaries and dumps warm blood out here to the cheeks and then circulates it back, trying to cool the brain, using the cheek meat, kind of like a radiator. Well, I'm cooling that by this cool air, and my head feels cooler quicker. My brain feels cooler, so to speak, quicker. I'm cooling my blood, I'm cooling my body, and therefore I'm cooling me down quicker. Now, the adage I've always talked about in the winter is, if you want to be warm, warm your kidneys. Because if you warm the kidneys, you warm the blood, so you warm the body. If you want to cool off, cool the head, you cool the body. Because the brain is super important, and the body will pump blood there rapidly, trying to cool that brain. So if I cool the brain down, I cool the body down by circulation. So putting my head up into this 20 to 30 degree cooler bucket makes a difference. Now, I know you're going to be a little skeptical. Blackie, that doesn't sound. I have taught a lot of people this trick over the years. On very hot days, I have pulled this out of a creek and then put it over a companion's head who was getting a little too hot. And they balked a little bit, and then they thought I'd put it in ice water. It was so cold, because it does feel so radically cooler. But what we're doing is we're using a little bit of science for evaporative cooling. These small mesh. Now, this doesn't work with a shamog because there's no holes for it to go through. Yes, I know a lot of those shamogs are kind of coarse woven, but not like these nets. So you want one of the cotton nets. It's got to be, it doesn't have to be pure cotton, but cotton helps, because the pure nylon ones, when you put them on, them being so, you want the cotton. The nylon one will work, but not nearly as long, because it doesn't absorb that much water. The absorption gives you a longer cool time before the water is gone. See? Now, this same idea was used back in the 1920s as a sort of field refrigerator to cool things down. What they did was they made a platform and hung a platform, and then they had cords to contain it, so it hung like one of them hanging baskets that we have in the kitchen. And then around the outside of the entire thing, they took very coarse burlap with holes in it like this. They would soak the burlap, come up and wrap it around and tie it around the whole thing. And at the very top, they took the top edge of the burlap and they stuck it into a bowl or something filled with water, so it would wick, and water would come out, wick down, and drip off of the bottom of it, using science, using suction action of it. The air blowing through, plus the water constantly be replenishing, created a field refrigerator, and it cooled it down 20 to 30 degrees inside of that box. Well, that doesn't sound like much. Well, when it's 100 degrees outside and you cool it down to 70, that makes a difference, doesn't it? Especially whenever you've got water in there that I can take out and drink, and a metal container that would exchange heat quickly. And so therefore, that was a trick they used back in the 20s and 30s in early days of camping. So, in conclusion, get one of these for the summer heat. I always carry one of these when I'm out here in the summer. A lot of times, in fact, if you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, you'll see me with these things wrapped around my shoulders and my shirt is sopping wet because of this. But I'm cool, and that's the important thing. Keeping the heat exhaustion and heat stroke away is the #1 priority. Hope you've enjoyed this content, guys. If you have, hit that like and share button before you go. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.